Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Johnny Walker, aka Jonathan Withanacci, and I'm the founder of the Walk of Wealth Mastermind Group. And today I am very excited to be joined by Dr. Binait Kabir. Welcome, Dr. Binait Kabir. To
Thank
get
you.
started, can you introduce yourself? Tell us your name, where you practice.
Yes, of course, of course. Thanks for having me on here. My name is Dr. Binait Kabir. I'm an endodontist in Washington, D.C. and Virginia. Currently, I am an associate at a practice that I am partnering with in the near future. I'm originally from Maryland. I've gone through training in Maryland and in New York City to become an endodontist. And I'm here to tell you everything I know or don't know about this mastermind group that I'm excited to be a part of.
Awesome. Very good. Thanks for being here.
Mhm.
So now let's just get right into it. Let's talk about before you joined the Walk of Wealth Mastermind Group. Had you ever invested as a limited partner or as a passive investor?
The answer is no. I've never invested in anything whatsoever besides my own education.
Mhm.
It took a while for me to become an endodontist. As you know, Johnny, there's a lot of school and training that's involved with that. So, I was in school from kindergarten up until the age of 34, 35, I think 33 actually. And so, I've only been working for about 3 years right now. And so this is the first time I've been investing passively or investing at all. I've had some stocks here and there, but nothing substantial. And I'm pretty hyped about, this avenue of investments that I'm taking.
Awesome. So did you didn't invest in any retirement accounts or anything like that prior to joining, like 401k or anything like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, the 401k, the Roth, all right, but like
Uh,
nothing crazy. Like I wasn't investing in a lot of Apple stocks like a lot of people do, or I didn't
mhm.
have a multi-family unit home or even a home actually. I've been honestly, I was a student to the point where I was determining, am I gonna have the guac and chips with the burrito at Chipotle? That's where my mindset was at up until a couple of years ago. So now that making some income, I needed to learn what to do with it, and I knew just parking my money in my savings account was not it. So that's what I'm here to disclose on the things that I've learned and continuing to learn every week by being part of this group.
Awesome. Awesome. What would you say, what was your biggest frustration or challenge when it came to building wealth before joining the mastermind group?
I said my biggest challenge was the limit of what my body could withhold. As a dentist, it takes a lot of strain on one's back and neck, and also concentration throughout the whole day. So I love what I do. I treat patients who deal with mostly pain every day, and I get them out of pain, which I love. But just
Yep.
seeing patient after patient, constantly straight throughout the day and throughout the week can only produce a certain amount. And when I'm not in the clinic, especially being an associate, I'm not producing anything. So I'm losing one, potential income, and then two, whatever I'm spending that day, I'm losing money in general. So it's kind of a double negative. Um,
Yep.
for example, I just went on vacation, took my first vacation in a while, and I was out for about 5 days or so. And in my head, I was thinking about how much income I'm losing just being on the beach, which I'll do regardless if I was or not making passive income. But you probably asked me this question going forward later on, but I had peace of mind knowing that while I was on vacation, one of the investments that I've done through you, the oil and gas, had a deposit into my account. And it was the first time in my life where I wasn't in the clinical chair. I was abroad and I got paid. I didn't, that was an amazing feeling. So the hardest part about this whole thing is to actively produce money with my two hands. I need to be present. I need to be working, and that can only go to a certain height and limit because I only have two hands. I can only treat one patient at a time. I can only see X amount per day, X amount per week. It won't go past whatever that bell curve is. Um, so that was the biggest frustration and biggest hurdle.
Awesome. Now, did you feel that you were missing out on opportunities or you were just simply stuck?
Uh, I think lack of knowledge. I didn't know as much because I'll be truthful for you or with you. I know a lot about a couple things in life. I know about root canals and I know about, sports, and that's about it. Anything after that is kind of like a gray area for me. I didn't really invest much of my time in learning about, um, financial part of my life because I didn't have that as an option. Like it wasn't, I didn't have the ability to spend money for majority of my life. So I didn't really take time to understand how money works. Honestly, like looking back, I probably should have. But at the same time, the amount of concentration and effort it took to become an endodontist, I just poured myself into that as much as possible. And so I told myself after I become one, then I'll try to learn it as quickly as possible. And
Hmm.
that's why I'm part of this group. It's I've learned through multiple ways, multiple stages of my life that I'm going to pick something that or somebody that knows a lot about whatever I'm doing or don't know a lot about. I'm going to hitch my wagon onto them and learn as much as possible. So that's what this mastermind group is to me. It's a void in my life that I don't know about. For example, let's say I want to get in shape. I'm gonna go find the most fit dude in this gym and try to be his friend and figure out what he does, what he eats, how he lifts in order to get in shape. So this is the exact same thing that I'm doing here.
Hmm. Yeah, well said. Now, was there a specific moment or realization that made you decide you needed to look for alternative investments, versus the stock market, for example? And
Yeah,
what pushed you to make that change?
I would say I was looking at my loans it took that I had from school that I've been accruing from dental school, and I was trying to figure out a way to pay them back. And initially I just wanted to throw as much money as possible at it just to, I think that's what my parents taught me. I come from, well, I was born and raised in the US. I'm first generation, but my family comes from East Africa. And, it's a common thought to just not have any debt. They don't want you to walk around with something over your head that can accrue over time. And my mindset was around the same thing. I'm just like, I'm gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna live, and I'm gonna pay this debt off as quickly as possible. Um, but I noticed that wasn't the most efficient way, especially how I was seeing other colleagues of mine, how they were moving and how they were allocating cash in different buckets, allowing those buckets to pay for the debt in return, kind of like indirectly. There wasn't like an aha moment that, oh, I need to invest. It's always been there. I've always been interested in it.
Hmm.
I was just waiting until one, I had a good nest egg to sit on, just in case anything happened, like a pandemic again or anything of that sort. And coming across you, we met, I don't even know how long, maybe over about 5 years ago, 2019 or so. At least we were introduced through a dental group chat, and I was became pretty friendly with a lot of people in that group chat. And just like I mentioned to you about being fit and following the person who is fit and wanting to learn from them, I was noticing people were talking about different things in this group chat, and a lot of the topics you talked about were about accruing or developing wealth, and make money for you, and that got my interest going, and I had a little conversation with you at one of the dental conferences, the root canal dental conference. I think it was in LA or so, or was it LA? It
Yeah. Yep.
was
It
Phoenix,
was
one of those two.
yeah.
Nonetheless, this is always something that I wanted to do, man. Always something. I did not know that much of it. Finally met you, who I could tell knew a lot more than I did. And it wasn't just, jumping off the ship and following whatever you said. It was kind of looking at the way you move in life, what you value, not just talking about finances, but your core. things that are important to you. And I can tell that it aligned with what I wanted in life. You know, you were a very active family man, which was very important to me. I think you're a great father to your kids. You're a good husband. I'm not trying to, boost you up too much, but these are the things that I wanted in my life. I wasn't there yet, but it's something that I wanted. And in order to be those things, it takes time and resources, and it takes things that you need to be present, and you need to be able to afford to do those things. And, as I started working, I noticed how much I was working, and I was working really hard, and I'm proud of, the time and effort I've been putting in up and, even till today. I just worked, a full day, but I noticed I was skipping out on a lot of things, man. I was skipping out on people's, bachelor parties, baby showers, weddings. I just couldn't go to these things because maybe I was, in residency or school, couldn't afford it at the time, or even now that I can afford it, it's just the time. There's so many patients to see every day. There's so much things to do in dealing with work that I don't have the freedom of picking up, or meeting my cousin after work. Let's say he gets off at 4 or 5. I don't get off until much later than that on a random Wednesday. I would love to do that. And these are just things that weren't possible to me, or wasn't even a vision until I saw you and how you moved. And once I saw how active a parent you were and a family man, I kind of worked backwards. Okay, if he does this now, what did he have to do to get to that? And because we do the same thing, Jonny. I mean, I don't know if the people know, you're an endodontist, I'm an endodontist. We're in the same building, but got different views, as I think Little Wayne said, or someone, Drake probably. Nonetheless, it motivated me a lot to get to that point. I was blessed enough to have a father who was very present. He was a math professor. He retired recently, but he had time, and the greatest gift he's ever given me is his time. And that's what I want. I want time for my future family. I want time for my loved ones now. And, when I get to the point of, having a big family, then I'll be as present as possible while still working. But I want work to be more optional than it is a necessity.
Oh, makes a lot of sense. Now let's move forward here. Like, now let's talk about the experience within the mastermind. Now, when you first joined the Walk of Wealth Mastermind group, did you feel confident about understanding alternative investments like real estate or oil and gas or private equity, or did it seem like a whole new world?
Combination of both, I would say. I was more, I would hear more about the conventional ways of investing, stocks, bonds, of that sort. But this unconventional way, I think the most I knew about it was one of my friends, who was in this mastermind group, who was an avid investor, active investor in like single family unit homes that he made into multifamily units, duplexes. He did the Airbnb investment as well. So I watched. Actually, had two friends that are both dentists do Airbnb investments, and I thought I wanted to get into it because you see a lot of advertisements with it, and it seems glamorous, like it's something that you just park your money in and walk away, and then all of a sudden a pile accumulates. But man, when I saw how much effort it took for them to manage this, it wasn't ideal anymore. I can tell, even from a distance. Like, I'm not even part of it, and I can feel the amount of stress and strain it was causing. And we're already dealing with this on a day-to-day basis, being a healthcare provider. This is nothing that I want to add on top of that. So going back to what you said, I've heard about multifamilies, of course, but on a smaller scale, whether it's 2-unit, duplex, or a 4-unit small little duplex, but not to the scale of what has been presented in this group. Nothing that I would have ever come across on a regular day-to-day conversation with people in my life I have come to this realization that this is possible. So the answer is no. I did not know about multifamily unit investments on a larger scale. I'm talking about over 100 units of an apartment. I've heard about flipping houses. I've never heard about flipping over 100 unit apartment building until I joined this mastermind group. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. Didn't know too much about the other investments, like, private equity. There's a pavement deal. This oil and gas, zero idea. I thought this was meant for politicians and people that lived in Texas with cowboy hats. Those were people who I thought knew about oil and gas. And I'm very grateful that now that I know about it, I want to get on, any podcast or any interview like this to spread the knowledge that I have or direct them towards here, because, again, I know what I'm good at and I know what I don't know. And I'm willing to find people that do what they do and kind of follow suit. This is specifically what my field is about. I know about root canals. Don't know too much about veneers, so you don't ask me too much about that, but I'll help you about root canals. So I want to find who the person is that knows about oil and gas. I'll listen to them. I'll do my due diligence. I'll ask around and try to learn as much as possible, and I'll follow suit.
All right, very good. Now you seem like you've been learning a lot, right? Like, I mean, even from when I met you to talk, we first started talking about investing to even now, like, I can tell there's a big change here. Now, how would you describe the educational content you've received in the mastermind group?
I would describe it as enlightening. Anything that I learned prior to joining this mastermind group, was nothing close to this amount. It's like getting a master's degree, a fast forwarded master's degree in financial literacy. And that's exactly what I was looking for. I would try to read books. I've read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've read The Millionaire Next Door, and these are very valuable books to read. I do recommend everyone reading it if they haven't. I'm sure most have. But, it's one thing to read it, but it's another thing to have someone in front of you giving a speech about or a lecture about it, having question and answers after, and then having access to even talk to them after that. So repetition helped a lot for me to, first hear it and understand it for the first time, but second, double back and get any other unknowns that I had about it answered. I think that's the most valuable part, is the resources that this group has been given to me and the other members is accessible daily. You yourself are very accessible. Like, I'll give you that, man. Like, I think I cold called you yesterday, at 10:30 in the morning, not thinking that you would pick up, but by the third ring, you were up, and we'd had a quick chat about an investment that we did prior, and answered my question, and let you go on about your day. And so I've spoken to, probably 3 of the speakers you've presented to us, one-on-one with them, and to talk to them about something that, one, I don't know too much about, or 2, I know generally about, and just doing more of a deep dive with them. It felt very assuring, number 1. And number 2, it felt, it kind of motivated me to learn more. It kind of lit the fire underneath me that, these people are willing to give their time and day to me, to give me information that they know 100% about. This is their field. You call me and ask me about a root canal, man, I will go on for however long it takes. But the accessibility is the unique part. I would not know these people if it wasn't for Mastermind Group. I would not know Courtney Moeller, the oil and gas, woman in Texas and Colorado and all these other places she helped me invest. I talked to her about the tax implication about it. I had an issue with my CPA at the time, and she helped me with furthering, or gave me more documents about how to get the tax benefits of that investment. So accessibility is second to none, one-on-one tutoring.
Yeah, yeah, our coaches are definitely experts in their areas, and yeah, absolutely, accessibility is very important so that you can kind of figure out the strategies for yourself. Now, speaking of that, have you learned any strategies or concepts that changed your understanding of investing?
Yeah, I would definitely assume. Yeah, yeah. The strategy that I mostly learned was what kind of echoed of Rich Dad Poor Dad: reduce liabilities, increase assets. How do we do that? List what my liabilities are down, from my car note to my rent to my groceries, and go on forever. Now, how do we cross those off with assets? What does it take to say, hey, I no longer will be paying a car note because of this asset that I accumulated, and just keep doing that. So the first thing that I think I learned from you is budget analysis, and from this group, what does it take for me to survive? I felt like when I was currently when I was making money before making or joining this group, I would just put all my money either in a savings account or a checkings account, keeping going back and forth. But I didn't really split it up into different compartments of my life. For example, a compartment for uh, you know, entertainment. I didn't know how much I could allot myself for entertainment or travel or whatever it takes for my liabilities that I have to pay for. So it helped me organize my financial responsibilities in my head a lot more. And then from there, man, this is the crazy part where I finally was accumulating assets that were allowing me to not think about a liability. One of the assets right now, or investments, is taking care of my car note, like I mentioned. Another one is literally taking care of my rent. Now I don't have to think about those two anymore. How can I keep building this up to a point where all of a sudden I can take off a day of work? I don't have to work 5 days a week. Then maybe I accumulate more assets and more investments. Then I can take another day off. So now I'm only working three. That's my vision, of course, to make work optional. And so I think that's the biggest thing I've taken away from this is just, simplify it and think about what I need to pay, what I need to survive, and how can I get my investments to pay for that. And then everything on top of that, will be just a bonus when I work. So
Yeah,
that's
that's a great
exactly
strategy.
what I'm taking.
Absolutely. Yeah, very good. That's an incredible strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to understand that conceptually and contextually, a lot of people don't know that. So it's, that's very profound. How would you describe the community you found within the Mastermind? Have you connected with other members? Have you felt supported or motivated in a meaningful way?
I have for sure. The members, come from all over this country, are different. Most are different types of healthcare providers, a lot of within the field that me and you work in. But their level of activity in this group is very, very inspirational. When we're all on these calls, weekly or bi-weekly, um, everybody's engaged, everyone's listening, everyone's asking questions after. I might think I have a dumb question, but if I ask it, I kind of feel supported. And so there are different levels of people with different types of knowledge. People coming in with like myself who are new to the workforce, or other people who've been, practice owners and business owners for a while, to people who have full-fledged families. And so I learned from them, on the business aspect as well. Like I said, I'm close to partnering right now with the practice I'm working at, and there were multiple people who already had uh, offices in this group, that I would ask questions about, and how their day-to-day life is, to even the speakers that came on the lecture scene for you. They told me about their experiences. Some who have had practices, and some who don't want practices and just want to invest. So it's a very eclectic, diverse group of people that are all driven, I think, for the same goal of being happy. What does being happy in life entail? It's not just all about money, 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 and producing as much as possible, but what does it mean for you or myself? So it helps me have a bigger picture on life. Um, it's helped me network a lot too. Some of these dentists are in the same area as me, so I've been to other dental meetings within the DC area with some of them in our group. Um, and honestly, it's just to know that I'm not alone in trying to seek more knowledge. I think that's the biggest thing I got from this. I felt like I was behind the eight ball. I'm coming out in my mid 30s, not knowing too much about how money moves. But then I see this whole group of people who've been working for decades and they're trying to learn too. So I didn't feel insecure, trying to seek this type of knowledge out just because I'm whatever, demographic that I am. So I'm definitely appreciative of the people that I've met and will continue to meet.
All right. Let's move on to results, right? And in an impact. Now, since joining this mastermind group, how many new passive income streams have you created? And can you give me a few examples of things that you have created, income streams?
Yeah, I've done five this past year. I went from 0 before I joined this meeting to 5. I've invested in oil and gas, like we have mentioned before, actually twice. I've invested in 2 different oil rigs throughout this country. I've invested in pavement companies to help fix roads. I've invested in self-storage units, multifamily apartment buildings in Texas, 180 units. These are things that I would never imagine I would have access to, and I probably still wouldn't if I didn't join this group. I'm in the realm of healthcare, so there's just nothing. I go to a conference and we're talking about teeth all day, which is good, but it's just not as diverse as what you guys are presenting. So those are some of the investments I've done, and I'm motivated to do more. Like I think I asked one of the questions I asked you yesterday on the call was, when is there a next investment opportunity coming? Because I'm motivated to learn about what the next one is about and to see what opportunities are out there. So went from 0 to 5, man. Hopefully 5 to 10 this year.
All right, yeah, I was going to ask you that. So so now you have 5 passive streams of income. You mentioned you went from 0 to 5. What are your goals for the next year? Over the next year? I mean, what is it to add another 5 more streams of income? What are your goals?
I think now that I've invested in these 5, I'm starting to customize which type of investments I like. I think from my kind of current state of my life, I think I want to reduce my taxes as much as possible. I want to, so I'm going to charge my iPad, but I want to do investments that have tax benefits. I want to be able to, one, make money, but at the same time, so I got to flip you guys around. I want to make money, but also reduce the amount of taxes I have. So the oil and gas and the real estates really have my eye on those. So those are the 2 that I want to kind of pour more into those buckets than other investments.
All right, that's awesome, and congratulations on the results that you're getting. Now, beyond the financial results, has your mindset changed? Right? Do you feel more confident about making smart investment decisions? And do you feel more confident about your financial future?
Yes to both. Yes to both. Money used to worry me a lot, especially investing money. I remember my mom investing in a stock when I was a kid, and it didn't go too well. And I remember how much it gave her anxiety, and it really, put a bad taste in my mouth on what investing is. So anytime I hear the word investing, I just think of putting money into an area where the economy and people in politics dictate how well it does, how well it goes. I didn't know about this other side of investing as much. But now that I'm in it, and now that I'm seeing returns and dividends from it, it has eased my mind that I can work very hard, and I will continue to, in the practice that I work in, but that won't be the only thing that I do. I want to make sure that I have multiple streams of income just in case something happens. I do have, malpractice insurance like most clinicians do, in the case that something bad happens physically to us. But I
Or
want some,
disability.
yeah, disabilities. I meant disabilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
But at the same time, I want to diversify the amount of income streams I have. So just like this five, different types of investments I've done, of course, there's an understanding of risk, but if diversifying my investments will reduce the risk just in case something happens in one world for whatever reason, let's say the tariffs on concrete will go up 500%, and all of a sudden that or a pavement deal isn't as good, but it's okay because I have four others that are outside of that world. So learning about diversifying my investments has helped giving me an ease of mind that I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, but I am putting a lot of eggs in different baskets. So it is risky, but it's adverse. It's kind of like reducing the risk at a certain aspect. So
Hmm.
I'm more at ease with thought of money and investing now than I was before joining this group.
All right, Dr. Kabir. Now, if you could summarize your experience in the Walk of Wealth Mastermind in one sentence or a few words, what would you say?
Um, Personally, myself and the story that I've been giving you guys of me not knowing about much about financial literacy, and well into my adulthood, I would describe my journey as this sentence or these couple words, and that is to embrace the unknown and the unscripted, and not to fear the unknown and unscripted. I feel like I've dove headfirst into an area that I don't know a lot about. And I was initially fearful about it, thinking that, I would be repelled away from things that I don't know. But just to know that there's a community of people who have similar interests and similar curiosities that I have gives me a sense of comfort and a sense of inspiration to keep learning, to keep trying, and to figure out what combination of investments or knowledge or networks best fits my life.
Now, what would you tell someone who is on the fence about joining the group?
Mm. I would tell them to do their due diligence, ask people within the group, maybe join one lecture of the group, or look at your Facebook and the videos you post. And if it's for you, give it a try. Don't be scared about it. As I mentioned before, embrace the unknown. Don't fear the unknown. And if it doesn't work out, at least you tried. Not and this is not for everybody, but this was for me. I'm glad I did it. And the only person that can truly let you know if a group is for you or not, or a route, is the experience itself. So, you know, go in and explore and figure it out.
Hmm. Now, is there anything that you wish you knew when you were first deciding to join? Anything you wish you knew now that you wish you knew when you were first deciding to join?
I wish I didn't pour in as much as I did in my student loans before I joined this group.
Hmm.
I was not paying the minimum. I was probably paying double the minimum required, thinking that I was going to beat the interest rate, which I was at the time. But the amount that I put in to my loans, I could have easily, easily made two more investments that would have given me dividends to pay off that minimum loan per month.
Hmm.
So, looking back, I would have definitely allocated those resources to investments as opposed to just paying off a liability itself with my active cash.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, how about in terms of the decision making to join the mastermind group itself? Like, everything that's come from the mastermind now. Would that have, if you knew that what you've been getting so far, how would that have made the decision making process in the first place?
So I think the one fearful thing I had was, obviously paying money to join this group that I could be using for, you know, my loans at the time. So it was definitely an investment, and just like any investment, the success of that investment determines or is based off the returns. And if money is the only thing that I'm putting forward, money and time, I think the return I've already had in 1 year has substantially, outlived and outgrown the money that I've put in. In fact, I've made it back already. The money it costs to join this group, I've made it back within the first two investments, or even within the tax benefits of my investments. And so looking back, I would have probably been more assured if what I know now, that the small amount that I'm putting in, or the big amount that I thought at the time, is actually small and minute compared to the returns of the knowledge. The money first, of course, the money and the investments are good, but the knowledge of how to invest, the knowledge of, or the networks that I make, are worth more than the initiation fee that it took to get. So
yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to ask you, right? Like, so you paid a substantial amount to be in this group, but is it worth it?
it's worth it. It's worth it. In fact, it's so worth it that I think I've brought in three of my colleagues and friends that are in this group. I saw what it's done for me. I saw people in the similar boat that I was in. In fact, they were a little bit more progress in their financial journey. But they're in this, and they're very active members. And we talk about this, almost weekly, about the classes we take, the deals that are out there. All my colleagues that are brought in, they've invested as well. So I'm not going to relay this information opportunity to people if I don't think it's personally good for myself. And so, yeah, I think this is a very beneficial group, and I'm excited to be part of its growth. I hope more people do, and yeah, I'm here for the ride.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kabir, for sharing your experience. It's always incredible to see the growth happening within our community. You're a star example. You're one of our founding members. We're very proud to have you. We're very proud to see all the rapid growth and success. Action takers are money makers, we say, and you're definitely a massive action taker. Very easy to see why you've achieved so much success in your career thus far. And if you're watching this and you're ready to learn how to create multiple streams of passive income like Dr. Kabir, save money on taxes, and confidently invest in commercial real estate, oil and gas, and other alternative assets, click the link below to schedule a time to talk.
But one last thing, my favorite quote that you said not too long ago was that history favors the bold. I took that to heart, and I'm trying to write my own history right now. So thanks a lot, Jonny.
Love it, man.
Appreciate it.
I'm here to watch and support you on that. I'll watch that journey. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.